Insurgents, welcome to UX, and this is Pakistan and Afghanistan are on the brink of war. What's on war fronts, obviously. I like this channel. There are way too many channels with this owner. The guy who narrates this is basically a narrator who's get hired by companies that own this channel, as far as I remember, because I'm pretty sure somebody told me that. And there are many channels with this similar thing, like war fronts. There is something, I don't know, like many other fronts type channel. There is space channel that talks about science and things. So this is like a whole company level thing. So it's a higher production and everything. So I like watching war fronts because it's like information is usually good and up to date. I like the narrator, how he explains this. This Pakistan, Afghanistan, it's been brewing for us. Like, look, man, people are going to be like, how are you going to be unbiased? I'm not going to say I'm going to be unbiased. I'll try, but I can't be unbiased after what happened in Kashmir, right? Pakistan's tendency to like fund terrorism, which they themselves claim like, yeah, we do that for America, we've been doing dirty work for America, this and that, point blank. So it's like, I'm not saying anything that's like out there. They themselves confirm that. If you're gonna like play with terrorism and pay them and fund them, and then shit like this happens with Taliban, like you can't put, like pull a Pikachu face, like, oh my god, how did this happen? You know how this happened. But in the end of the day, any war is fucked up, right? It's never good when a nuclear power is at war. With India, Pakistan, both were nuclear, so much more intense. But to me, less intense. Because if both have nukes, they're not going to use it, let's be honest. But when one has nuke and other doesn't, that's more risky, right? So Pakistan has nukes, Afghanistan doesn't. You don't want to hear like, oh, by the way, Pakistan used nukes. First of all, it's bad news for Pakistan because people will obligation to bomb Pakistan after that. That's how it works. Even though I have my own doubts about that, like there are many things. Even with NATO's article, like, oh, we're going to defend, like, I'm not so sure about that. Unless yourself is threatened, you're not going to do nothing. So all this, like, just talk. Nobody's going to bomb Pakistan, even if Pakistan bomb Afghanistan. I think that's what's going to happen, even though people will basically, isolate Pakistan completely if that happens. But these are extreme scenarios. As far as war thing, I'm pretty sure it's Taliban thing. Pakistan blames India, as far as I know, judging from the news, that, okay, India funds this same Taliban to attack Pakistan. Yeah, because India has history of that, right? India has history of funding, like terrorism and doing all this shit, right? It's not like it's pacifist country. It's not like India never does war by themselves. It's always like somebody does the aggression and India responds. Yeah, India is not a democratic country, obviously. What are you talking about? Like, at least say something that's digestible. Like, India wasn't even one of the countries that did questionable shit in Cold War because it wasn't even involved. India doesn't even have a history of doing questionable shit. That's most countries can't say that. India doesn't even have that, history. Because India was never powerful enough to do that in the back. And up until now, like, they have this image of being pacifist. They never do aggressive shit. So Pakistan claiming, oh, by the way, like they're India's funding. It's just point blank, like, we don't like India, so we're going to blame them. Like, really? No, this is your doing. You're fucking up things, right? So I don't know what detail much about that. I'm sure the video tells us, like, why this is happening now and how intense it is. But yeah, let's watch this one.
4 years after the disastrous departure of the United States, the nation of Afghanistan is just inches away from war. This time, however, it's not the Americans that the nation's Taliban rulers have to worry about. Instead, Afghanistan faces the threat of an adversary far closer to home. Its considerably more powerful neighbor to the southeast, Pakistan. Over the course of the last several days, Afghanistan and Pakistan have engaged in multiple rounds
By the way,
of deadly border violence, and although the total...
Pakistan ain't a bitch, by the way. Of all the Middle Eastern country, Pakistan is probably the strongest. People, when they hear that, they're surprised. Just look at the numbers, the things they have, because of India, obviously. India is their, like adversary, and you have to keep up with the shit. So it can't work like any other Middle Eastern country, right? Other Middle Eastern countries are rich per person. But when it comes to military, Pakistan ain't a bitch. They have Chinese weapons, Chinese things. They did shot down Rafales, Indian Rafales. These are not small feats, man. And all the numbers of things they have with the nuclear weapons, they are the strongest, if you count Pakistan in Middle East, or at least compare it to them, they're the strongest country. So Afghanistan fighting with Pakistan is like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Should you do that? I don't know.
death toll isn't yet clear. It may have already climbed into the multiple hundreds. Pakistan is dropping bombs across the city of Kabul, the Taliban is moving tanks to the border, and at the very moment that this episode is released, a brittle ceasefire is expected to lapse in less than 24 hours' time. For the second time in 2025 alone, the nuclear-armed nation of Pakistan is engaged in a cycle of escalating conflict against a next-door neighbor. And this time, the human devastation on all sides could turn out to be far worse. Alright, in order to understand what's happening between...
Yeah, okay. Look, here's the thing. India-Pakistan thing was different. Like I said, India is peaceful country in that pacifist, like I said. I don't know how to explain that. India doesn't want to do war. That's their policy. It's not feelings. It's the policy. India doesn't like wars. It doesn't want to do that if they don't have to. But India can't back down because India ain't a bitch. Top 5 countries on the planet. You have to worry about China. So the India-Pakistan things, India can't back down. So India was bombing the shit out of Pakistan. Pakistan themselves did this, and Pakistan, military country, led by a military leader, they have like pretending prime minister. That is their flex in the first place. They can't back down. So it was a weird situation where either of them can't back down, which was about to go insane. Probably same thing would have happened like it happened in the past multiple decades where India beat the shit out of Pakistan, but it would have been much worse, right? Casualties would have been much higher. That's why when Trump intervened, Pakistan side, India is like, fine, we don't want to attack anyway. It's like Pakistan keep attacking and we keep responding. We've said that. Pakistan attacks with us drones and things, we bomb the shit out of their airports, right? So when Trump called Pakistan like, yeah, this is good enough of escape. We can just say, by the way, Trump intervened, so there's a peace deal. That was enough to stop the war, right? That's how it was. India didn't stop because of Trump, but India stopped because Pakistan stopped. That's how it is, right? But that's because it was India. India doesn't want to do war. Same shit is not going to happen with Taliban. Afghanistan, Taliban's not going to give a shit about any of that. If they're doing war, they're all in. They're going to do war. Nobody's trying to get out of the war. Even if Pakistan starts to get out of the war, Afghanistan and like Taliban was a terrorist organization. Does it still count as a terrorist organization? Or is it now government of Afghanistan? I don't even know how that works, right? But it's that. They're known to be extreme. They're not going to back down. So this is a war that might last, by the way. That's how fucked up this is. This is a war that might last. Pakistan has nukes. Pakistan have many ballistic, missiles and weapons. Pakistan doesn't have money right now. They are struggling. But they can still get debt from China and fund their war. Yeah, I don't know where this is going to go, man.
Between Afghanistan and Pakistan right now, we've got to understand the difference between two distinct groups. The Afghan Taliban, who've ruled the nation of Afghanistan since America's withdrawal in 2021, and the Pakistani Taliban. Right now, the Pakistani Taliban are similar to what the Afghan Taliban used to be, an asymmetric insurgency hiding out in the hills and blending in with the region's population of
So they are the same, but one like, okay, we are official government now, so you have to register your company as separately now. That's what it is.
Pashtuns, while they carry out unpredictable attacks that can, at times, be devastating. Officially, the Afghan Taliban and the Pakistani Taliban are two distinct groups, and Afghanistan formally denies providing any form of support to the Pakistani Taliban, who regularly carry out terror attacks against Pakistan's military, its internal security force.
Then why are they doing it? So if Afghanistan is not involved, why is Pakistani Taliban, okay, Balochistan thing, is that it? Wait a minute, are they pro-Balochistan? That's what it is, like they want their own country. By the way, I forgot about that. That's a big shit happening in Pakistan. Pakistan is a real element of like one side exploiting other side, Balochistan, and that is creating divide. If you have a country, make sure you don't divide your own people, right? People say, oh, you're Khalistani thing. No, we don't. Literally walk in Punjab right now, ask anybody about Khalistan. They say, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm pro-Indian all the way. All the Khalistani, whatever extremists were, they ran to Canada. They're causing issue in Canada. India is like taking care of their people enough. There is no divide. Small struggling, but not at the level like, oh, we want our own country. Pakistan should have like make sure that happens in Pakistan. But of course, they're not going to do that. Why? Because a military guy is leading the country. They don't care about if people are poor. They don't care if people are eating or not. They don't care if people have water or not. They only care about if they have Chinese weapon or not. That is what happens when you're a military leader, which Pakistan is. Pakistan's military decides somebody is going to be prime minister or not. That's how fucked up it is. Or in front of TV, they pretend all the process, but in the end, everybody knows, oh, it's the military guy who's going to decide. Now he's like, what, field marshal or whatever, the highest position they have after the recent, war with India. They promoted him with a big title or something. Yeah, okay. So they should have made sure this Balochistan area is well taken care of. Maybe you wouldn't have such a divide now.
Forces and its civilians. But the Pakistani Taliban frequently crosses into Afghanistan for safe haven. Outside analysts widely believe that it does receive support from its Afghan counterparts, and Pakistan uniformly rejects Afghanistan's attempted denials, instead insisting that the Afghan Taliban fully back their Pakistani counterparts with the financial support of Pakistan's arch nemesis, India. That's a major point of tension between Islamabad and Kabul, and while the two nations have tried to maintain a very shaky state of peace,
okay, I am cynical enough to see that one point that even though India doesn't have skin in the game, India's not going to do like, yeah, we're going to use this tactic. But if shit is happening, I can see someone in India, like from the back channels or black channels, whatever, not leader doesn't know, like Modi doesn't know, but somebody in the government RAW or something, because we do have CIA type agency RAW, slowly slips in some money that, I don't know, if Afghanistan, Pakistan fights, India doesn't have to worry about Pakistan terror attack or some shit like that. Some twisted mentality like that. I can see that. But officially, no, India's not gonna do same shit that Pakistan does, right? India is much stronger and like tighter democracy than all that shit. India, things are open. In India, a leader can't do something without people getting pissed off and getting on the street. It's one of the biggest countries to do that. People will be constantly on the street if people go out of hand. And everybody in the government, including Modi, gets, anxiety suddenly, like, oh, we need to change, otherwise they'll remove me. There is no authoritarian thing that can happen in India. That's how India works. But someone like Raw or somebody sleeping, this is my movie Hollywood type mentality. I don't know if this happens or not, but I can kind of see that. If they are fighting, I might as well fund that, maybe.
Neither nation has any trust for the other's government. Okay, so with that critical context in mind, we can identify the time, the place, and the mechanism by which this entire regional breakdown got started. On the 8th of October, a Pakistani military convoy was ambushed by the Pakistani Taliban as it traveled near the Afghan border. After the convoy was hit by multiple roadside bomb blasts, Pakistani Taliban fighters engaged Pakistan's troops in a gun battle, killing a total of 11, including multiple officers. Initially, Pakistan...
This is no different from terror attacks that happens in India, by the way. It's literally a terror attack. And this is why, I'm sure of, like, if somebody is funding from India, it's probably some back channel thing. Because you have no idea how touchy subject this is in India. If somebody finds out in India that someone from India, governmental position, is funding Afghanistan to do terror attack that are the problem in India in the first place, do you have any idea what level of fuck up that is? Right? This is like if somebody in America realized some American government people funded something that there was like 9/11 something. They did 9/11 of their own. Do you know how touchy that would be? Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is why no official position or even like slightly unofficial position in India would ever like fund them. Because the way they are doing it, this is basically terror attack element. And people are pissed off because of terror attacks in India. This would be instant governmental change. There's something happens, really, really black site level shit that nobody can trace if something is happening, which even that I don't believe, because India doesn't have to do that. I don't think India is like, I don't want to say smart, but conniving in a way that CIA and other agencies are. I don't think India and their whatever structure is, they would do that. I don't think they would even think to do that. That's the thing. All right, that's not stupidity, but India didn't go through Cold War, right? Even though India has RAW, it's not as intense as CIA. Like the level of thought the CIA people have, Indian RAW people can't have that. Or at least that's what I believe. So they're not going to do this like black site insane shit like that. So I don't believe India is funding it.
Pakistan offered a different version of events, although it now appears that the convoy ambush, as claimed by the Pakistani Taliban, is what really happened. The next day, on October the 9th, Pakistan is believed to have carried out an airstrike in Kabul targeting the leader of the Pakistani Taliban, longtime Emir Nur Wali Massoud. Pakistan denies that it was behind the airstrike, and unverified audio recordings suggest that Massoud ultimately survived the blast, but multiple senior Pakistani Taliban members were killed, and Pakistan reportedly carried out other airstrikes elsewhere across Afghanistan. On that same day, the Pakistani Taliban carried out retaliatory attacks, killing 7 police officers, a training academy, and 11 more soldiers in an additional convoy ambush. A third attack left 3 civilians and 2 paramilitary fighters allied with Pakistan's government dead in the district of Bajar. Also on that day, Pakistan reported that it had carried out multiple raids against Pakistani Taliban hideouts in the same zone as the first convoy ambush, killing a total of 30 of the insurgents group's fighters. By the overnight hours on October the 11th, headed into October 12th, it was already obvious that the regions where the Pakistani Taliban are at their strongest were on the brink of chaos. But on that night, it was the Afghan Taliban, not the Pakistani Taliban, who would engage in offensive action. Moving through the darkness across a disputed border zone, Afghan Taliban units carried out a series of retaliatory attacks as their way to answer Pakistan's alleged airstrikes in Kabul. Led by a Taliban fighter who had been part of the movement since before 2001, Afghan troops attacked multiple military posts where they reported inflicting heavy casualties and capturing numerous points. Members of the Pakistani Taliban reportedly took part, although at the time it wasn't clear whether they'd had advanced knowledge of the coming attack or simply chose to join in once they became aware. Pakistan responded in force, mobilizing units close to the border and attacking Afghan Taliban guard posts wherever possible. Afghanistan attempted, at one point, to impose a unilateral ceasefire while fighting was still taking place, but Pakistan rejected the deal and fighting.
Come on, man. This is another fucked up thing, man. Yeah, Pakistan got bitch slapped during the Indian war because it's India. So now it happened second time in the same year. You think Pakistan's gonna stop now? They have to save face. So yeah, Afghans like, okay, let's halt counter-reaction. Pakistan's not gonna do that. Pakistan is much stronger than Afghanistan. Yeah, this is gonna end up badly, I think. This is so fucked up, man. This is a problem, man. This is a homegrown problem that Pakistan created. Where was Osama was found is in Pakistan. Their own fucking prime ministers, top leader prime ministers and leaders, military leaders, point blank say we've been doing America's dirty work and funding terrorism, this and that. Point blank, it's on the fucking video. You do shit like this, then you can't pull Pikachu face after that, man. Of course you're gonna have problems like this. Eventually shit was about to catch up, and it did now, right? You having issue in your own country, it's about to divide. The literal insurgency groups there that trying to kill your country. Movements like Balochistan that trying to kill your country. You're poor right now, you don't have that much money. This is the worst time to all this to happen. What's gonna happen in next few years? Who knows?
Fighting continued through to the morning. At that time, each side retreated to more defensible positions, although the carnage they left in their wake became the subject of intense international dispute. According to the Afghan Taliban, their side suffered only 9 fighters killed and 18 or fewer injured, but they'd managed to kill 58 Pakistani soldiers and capture 25 Pakistani outposts. Pakistan, however, claimed to have lost only 23 soldiers, but stated that its forces had killed over 200 fighters from...
Yeah, did they show armor footage this time? Oh, look at that. There's 200 Afghan Taliban leaders killed. Here's an armor footage.
The Afghan Taliban and other groups, and claimed 21 of their outposts. Obviously, those stories, they don't match up, although both governments do have a history of obfuscating or minimizing their losses when possible and
Yeah. In India, Pakistan, India literally shows satellite images and everything. Indian military doesn't lie. Because they have enough of pride not to do that. It's one of the top militaries on the planet. India doesn't do that shit. It's common sense. Pakistan point blank shows armor footages time and time again, and they pull Pikachu face when people don't believe them. Really? You cry, the boy who cried wolf, right? Oh, by the way, here comes wolf. This about to happen. Nobody's gonna believe you now. Come on.
exaggerating the claims of damage they've inflicted on their adversaries. Pakistan did publish footage that allegedly depicted the destruction of Taliban outposts, but those videos have yet to be independently verified. After the violence on October the 12th, it was only a matter of time before the fighting began again, not least because Pakistan's leaders, including Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharaf, had vowed a retaliation in force. Afghan leaders matched Pakistan's rhetoric, insisting that any subsequent acts by Pakistan would draw a, quote, strong response from Afghanistan's fighters. Pakistan closed all border crossings along the 2,600-kilometer border between the two nations, and according to local Afghan sources, the nation carried out drone strikes in Afghanistan's southern provinces. Drone strikes continued on the following day in Kandahar province, and then the region fell quiet for just a bit over a day. But overnight on the 14th of October into the 15th, Pakistan alleged that the Afghan and Pakistani Taliban had opened fire, together pouring bullets and heavier munitions into Pakistan's territory. According to Pakistan, nobody was hurt, and the act seemed to be more of a show of force, though Pakistan did respond with mortar fire, which it claimed was responsible for the death of another 20 Taliban fighters. Within a few hours after that brief exchange, on the morning of October the 15th, the border zone was rocked by the worst phase of fighting yet. On that day, all hell broke loose across the border zone, with Afghan and Pakistani fighters firing on each other from afar, and each side reporting attempted infantry attacks against their positions. In Pakistan, the border city of Chaman came under heavy shelling from across the Pakistani border, where several civilians were reported to have been killed. Pakistani drones struck Afghan positions near the border, while airstrikes hit the Afghan Taliban headquarters in Kandahar and rained down again, this time repeatedly, across the capital city of Kabul. Video showed antique tanks under the Afghan Taliban's control rolling toward the border to assist an estimated 700 Taliban fighters or more who had arrived just before the fighting broke out and took up positions to bolster their allies who were already present in the border zone. Pakistan admitted the loss of at least 7 Pakistanis.
Which tanks are those? Oh, American tanks that they left behind or something? Taliban is new thing, man. Do they have military? Do they have like anything they can do against Pakistan? Like I have no knowledge of that. It's like one of those things that just suddenly popped up. Like, oh, what the fuck? I don't know nothing about this. Can Afghanistan even fight with Pakistan like with tanks and shit like that? I don't know.
Pakistani soldiers, while Afghanistan claimed at least 15 of its own civilians killed and over 80 women and children wounded in the district of Spin Boldak. On both sides, the true death toll is expected to be a good deal higher, while it currently appears that Afghanistan suffered the loss of significant amounts of heavy fighting equipment, including multiple tanks. If there was one bright spot amidst all the death and destruction, it was that the fighting on the 15th didn't last long. By the late afternoon, both Pakistan and Afghanistan had agreed to a ceasefire. It wasn't slated to last very long. Instead, it'll expire in the late afternoon on Friday the 17th, local time at the Afghanistan-Pakistan border, unless it's extended between now and then. But, at least for now, the fighting is on pause.
And now a quick word from our sponsor, me, or more precisely, my website, fronts.co. Have you ever found yourself thinking, there's just not enough content on Warfront. 6 videos a week is just not enough for me. I want the world to be crazier. I want more war, more death.
Alright. No, I've never. Okay, I cancel these footages. Yeah, people go to original video page link from there, support this channel. Apparently, there are more. Yeah, this is the time where channels like Warfronts can really thrive because shit is going down left and right. Yeah, this is a time where historians, war analysts, and everybody's gonna like scramble. Run after shit because they won't be able to keep up. That's how fucked up it is.
It was expensive. Although we've explained the immediate run-up to this series of cross-border clashes, we haven't yet explained the larger context and the pattern of escalating tensions that Pakistan, Afghanistan, and the Pakistani Taliban have dealt with for years. Although the Pakistani Taliban have posed a threat to Islamabad for many years, the fighting really picked up after Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan was removed from office in 2022. Khan had been overseeing efforts to strike a ceasefire deal with the Pakistani Taliban in negotiations that were actually brokered at times by the Afghan Taliban, but Pakistan's leaders after Imran Khan have preferred a far more punitive approach. Between the 1st of this year and the end of September,
dude, the leader of Pakistan, the military leader, I forgot his name, the field marshal or whatever, he was guiding these people, these prime ministers, what to do. So nothing has changed. This has nothing to do with the prime minister. Whether it's Imran Khan or the guy that is now here, Sabas, whatever his name is, right? They all would have acted the same way because the guy who's like directing them is the military leader, right? Prime minister cannot do shit on their own. Like it's basically like symbolic, like position. They do run as a prime minister because somebody has to, do day-to-day politics and day-to-day overseas things and that. But in the end of the day, it's the military leader. When USA called from somebody from Pakistan, it was the military leader who went there, not the fucking prime minister. It was a field marshal who went there and I guess meet Trump and everything because obviously he's the leader. Right? At that point, even they're like, oh, now we are not even pretending anymore.
Pakistani authorities have been broadening their crackdown against the group, with the Islamabad-based Center for Research and Security Studies counting 2,414 deaths in that 9-month span. If those numbers hold consistent, then 2025 will be a far deadlier year for Pakistan's anti-Taliban operations than 2024. The Pakistani Taliban bear massive responsibility for the increased death toll after increasing the pace of suicide attacks, ambushes, and other assaults across the country, especially in the north. According to the ACLED, the Pakistani Taliban have launched over 600 attacks this year so far, more than 2 a day, and on pace to be their most active year in the last decade. At the same time, Pakistan's relations with the Afghan Taliban have continued to deteriorate, not least because Pakistan intermittently conducts airstrikes on Afghan soil, targeting what it claims are hideouts for the Pakistani Taliban. The government in Afghanistan has always taken umbrage to those strikes, although Pakistan's operations haven't typically led to direct escalation since, until now, they haven't targeted major population centers, least of all Kabul. At the same time, even though Afghanistan denies supporting the Pakistani Taliban, the government there is very hesitant to take any action against the group.
Yeah, when India did, strikes in Pakistan, targeting, terrorist installations, Pakistan responded by shooting down Rafales. Rafales couldn't fight back because they were not instructed to attack Pakistan and Pakistan military, so Rafales got shot down. This is the one thing people always miss out. Oh, by the way, Pakistan shot down Rafales. This wasn't a point-blank war. When point-blank war happens, then we'll see how Rafale works. This was nothing, right? So if Pakistan does the same thing to Afghanistan, of course Afghanistan is going to be yeah, Pakistan responded this way, so we're going to respond the same way. We're not going to okay, if you're just attacking terrorist installation, maybe we'll talk it out. No, you didn't talk out with India. Why the fuck we would talk out to you? This is enough of incentive to attack. Of course Afghanistan is going to attack after that.
Try that, and hardliners within the Afghan governments would likely take the side of the Pakistani Taliban, bringing their fighters with them. And if those fighters lose faith in the Afghan Taliban, they'd be prone to ideological drifting in an even more extreme direction, where the Islamic State franchise in Khorasan would most likely be eager to accept them. Meanwhile, Pakistan's suspicions about the Afghan Taliban were only exacerbated on the 15th of October when, even as fighting was spinning up again, Afghanistan's foreign minister was on a historic trip to build ties in India. As for what happens now, the most important question is whether these
Why is the subliminal message? We're tying, we're creating ties with India, so don't fight us. Or India and Afghanistan together will attack Pakistan. Yeah, nobody believes that shit. Come on, man. I don't think Pakistan would be afraid of that. This is one of those things they would try to show as a thing that politicians do, but does it even work? I don't know. Why would India attack Pakistan if Pakistan and Afghanistan is fighting? India never attacks as aggression. They always respond. Unless Pakistan attacks India, India is not going to do anything.
These two sides will be able to draw down tensions before the current ceasefire lapses. According to international sources and mediators, both Pakistan and Afghanistan have signaled some willingness to scale down the violence, so, at least for now, there is reason to be guardedly optimistic. But in the event that a more extended ceasefire arrangement doesn't emerge in the mere 4 available, we've got to be asking a second question: could this crisis spiral into all-out war? Luckily, we do have some good news on that front, specifically that it's highly unlikely that a true conventional war is even feasible. That's not for any lack of will on either side. Instead, it's a matter of the limitations that the Afghan Taliban faces. Although the nation captured quite a lot of American-made kit from its 2021 take.
That's what I mean. Pakistan ain't a bitch, man. How is Afghanistan going to fight? If someone like Iran was fighting Pakistan, I would say Pakistan still has the upper edge because it's Pakistan. Right? Like I said, their military is stronger. How the fuck Afghanistan is going to fight Pakistan in military side? I don't know. That's just insane.
Over, it still lacks the heavy armor, the aircraft, the intelligence gathering capabilities, and the high-caliber fighters it would need to wage a proper open war. Pakistan, by contrast, fields the world's 6th largest military, if we're just going by the numbers, and it's got over 1,000 relatively advanced main battle tanks and many thousands of individual artillery pieces on the ground, plus nearly 400 operational combat jets in the sky, including America's F-16s and China's J-10Cs.
Yeah.
If the Afghan Taliban...
Yeah, Pakistan, 6th military? 6. Wasn't it 11th? I guess by numbers it's 6, okay. So yeah, it's one of those, it's one of those countries is in top, there are 200, near 200 countries. Pakistan is probably in top 10 somewhere, right? By numbers, it's 6. By technological ways, like 10th, 11th or something. It's still big enough. Like I said, in Middle East is strong. And they have all areas covered, from like air power, military power, ballistic missiles, Chinese J-10s, like you say, like that's pretty fucking powerful, right? Chinese equipments. I mean, Chinese defenses might not work great, but they don't care about that shit, right? You know, like people who are like mentality, like we don't care, we're doing right thing. Like they say, like there's been like attacks have been happening between Pakistan and Afghanistan, and like thousands were dying for years, right? That shit is happening right now. So Pakistan is used to this. So even if like Afghanistan bomb the shit out of Pakistan, people die, they'll be like, okay, I guess it's another day. That like Middle Eastern type of mentality where bombing just happen, right? In India, if some bombing happens, people are like, what the fuck, this never happens, and people get pissed off. I don't think that's going to happen in Pakistan. So defenses might not be as great, but like everything else, like J-10s, they're proper attack things, like at least they work, right? And I don't think like Afghanistan have anti-air defenses like India. So this time if Pakistan bomb the shit out of Afghanistan, it's going to happen. It's just weird. I don't think like it's going to be war between Afghanistan and Pakistan. Like how does that even work? But okay.
And were to try and fight a conventional war against Pakistan, it would not be a close fight, and both sides know that. But that relatively good news only extends so far, because the kind of warfare that the Afghan Taliban are good at, they're really good at, informed by decades of experience gathered by...
Yeah, like, one thing is like Afghanistani people, Taliban won't care if how many of them die. They will not back out or do peace deal. Like I said before, like this is not like India who doesn't want to do war and like, okay, fine, if Pakistan stop, we'll stop. Afghanistan is not going to stop like that. If you cause point blank war at Afghanistan can fight back, obviously, but that doesn't mean Afghanistan will stop insurgencies and like attack inside Pakistan and like basically tire you out. Taliban won't get tired of doing that shit. America knows that. So it's a different war, isn't it?
Most recently against the Americans and also against the Soviets a bit further back in history. Whether it's the Afghan Taliban we're discussing or the Pakistani Taliban, one thing is entirely consistent. Their fighters thrive in the chaotic, asymmetric style of classical insurgent warfare.
Yeah, I mean, America of all fucking countries, the most powerful country on the planet by a mile, got tired in Afghanistan and left. Like, yeah, we'll win, but for how long? For a week? After a week, they'll pop back up. Like, what are we going to do? This was a weird fight that they were fighting. They're like, okay, screw it. We're going back. And they just left Afghanistan. Yeah, Pakistan can't deal with that shit if America can't.
Across much of Afghanistan and much of Pakistan, their fighters can blend in with the local ethnic Pashtun population who live and move basically unrestricted in the border zone between the two nations. Afghanistan's forces can't beat Pakistan outright, but they can draw Pakistan into a protracted conflict and bleed their more powerful neighbors dry. And making matters worse, that's precisely the kind of warfare where modern Pakistan struggles most.
Yeah, I mean, the border is not like Indian border. Indian border is strong. Many terror organizations has been trying to put a foothold in India. They can't do that shit. Because Indian military instantly knows somebody like crosses the border and grab them. Like, what the fuck you doing? And throw them back. Or put them in jail or whatever the fuck the process is. Like the ISIS and everyone like constantly, like even Taliban in the past, or we're going to put foothold in India. Can't do that shit. They've been trying for 20 years. That's not the same thing with Pakistan. Afghani people can literally cross into Pakistan and just like, okay, like blend with them.
Pakistani Taliban pose a major security threat across Pakistan, but they're far from the only insurgent group that Islamabad has to deal with. In the country's Balochistan region, ethnic Baloch separatists have proven all but impossible for Pakistan's forces to stop. The Islamic State maintains a presence in Pakistan. There's a whole array of anti-Pakistan militant groups in the disputed Kashmir region, and other ethnic and religious insurgencies occasionally carry out attacks of their own. For a nation that's rightfully regarded as a regional power player, armed with a full arsenal of nuclear weapons, Pakistan's internal security situation is astonishingly bad. And that's before the Afghan Taliban had reason to consider actively expanding and funding the Pakistani Taliban insurgency. As whether Afghanistan really would do such a thing, unfortunately, the jury is still out. the wake of the first flare of violence on October the 12th, most regional experts suggested that there was still ample room to de-escalate and that the Afghan Taliban would be inclined to pursue off-ramps away from future hostilities. Now, however, these assessments are starting to change after Pakistan has demonstrated a willingness to strike Kabul with impunity and has signaled that it may believe it has nothing to fear from Afghanistan besides limited border skirmishes. Remember, according to the conventional balance of power, it is Pakistan that has the clear upper hand.
I mean, Pakistan might be thinking like, you're already here, you're already doing terror attack, what was going to do, right? Might as well attack Afghanistan point blank. So people who are in Pakistan get scared and run back to Afghanistan, all the Afghani insurgents, because we fucked up Afghanistan completely, destroyed Kabul. This is an extreme scenario that I can see Pakistan thinking. Like, if there is something to fear, like, okay, I'm not going to fight this guy, he might rip my shirt off and rip my clothes off. But once you already ripped their shirt off, now like I'm clearly stronger, I'm going to fuck this guy up to like save face. And maybe they won't rip my shirt anymore, but they already ripped my shirt. Like, weird analogy, but you get the point. Like, they are already in Pakistan. They're already doing terror attacks. So Pakistan might as well just say, like, you know what, fuck it. We might go all the way. What was they going to do? This is not good for Afghanistan if that shit happens.
But it's up to Afghanistan to either make its peace with the current order of things or to change the regional dynamic by scaling up asymmetric warfare. There is one other stroke of luck to consider. That the international community is poised to come down firmly on Pakistan's side while also being able to engage Afghanistan in dialogue. Whether it's China, Russia, the United States, the European Union, or any other geopolitically relevant force besides India, all would prefer to see Pakistan safe and stable and would strongly prefer to see this issue resolved.
Yeah, because with the India thing, like, Russia is not going to go against India, like, for obvious reason. China was staying away because it doesn't matter how strong China is, India is not less stronger. You don't want to heat with India even more than US, so China stayed silent. USA played as mediator because why make enemy of anyone? That was the case because of India. Now India is not there. It's Afghanistan against Pakistan. Just clearly people can just like go in the side of Pakistan and like try to pressure Afghanistan. But the problem is USA literally invaded Afghanistan, nothing happened. Why would Afghanistan listen to anyone? That's the problem. What are they going to threat? We're going to invade you, already did that shit. What's going to happen if you do it again? So it's like, it's a very weird situation, man.
Through negotiations. China has substantial material assets in both nations and consistently applies leverage in other international conflicts.
You can just imagine him, look at that, pulling that face, him just saying, motherfucker, shut the fuck, just telling Afghanistan like that. You're not threatening my corridor. Like, I'm building a fucking road there. What you doing? Look at that face. Getting pissed off at I'm pretty sure that some calls went there from Xi Jinping, like, what the fuck? Do you want me to come there?
To ensure that China's assets never come under threat. The United States has its own recent pretext to support Pakistan directly as part of a hypothetical effort to recapture Bagram Air Force Base. Russia can threaten an end to its reconciliation with Afghanistan after becoming the first nation in the world to recognize the Taliban-controlled government. Saudi Arabia recently signed a mutual defense pact with Pakistan and would rather not invoke it so soon, especially against a fellow Muslim nation. And the Afghan Taliban knows full well that if the rest of the world had gotten its way, there is no chance that they'd ever be in charge of their nation. For the sake of its own survival, Afghanistan cannot afford to give the world justification in backing military operations to destroy what's left of its arsenal. Hopefully, the world already knows more about the situation by the time you see this episode, and soon, Pakistan and Afghanistan will be able to agree on a...
Yeah, I don't know what happened. This is the only video. Did something happen or something changed? I don't fucking know. But there you go. Remember, there was Pakistan, Afghanistan on the brink of war. I don't know. Like, you know, like how fucked up the situation is when you see every single comment saying, like, okay, jokes like, okay, when two enemies fight, don't do anything. Let enemy do their thing and shit like that. Every comment. I'm like, okay, this is insane. This is the thing, Saudi Arabia is with Pakistan. Russia acknowledged Taliban. Will Russia like side with Pakistan? I don't think Russia would do that because India would be like, why the fuck you with Pakistan? This weird geopolitical shit is happening, right? China is clearly with Pakistan because it's literally there, basically their left arm or some shit. They need Pakistan. They invested so much money. Trump's going to be Trump. Trump is very pro-Pakistan, like literal Pakistan leaders just went there, met Trump and all that shit. So Trump's probably going to be with Pakistan, but Trump's not going to do shit about Afghanistan because he doesn't want to do that because his own people will be pissed off. Like, why are you talking about Afghanistan again? It's like scarred memory. We're not going there again, come on. So I don't think Trump will touch this subject in that way, indirect probably. Yeah, I don't know. But I don't think anyone has to get involved. Pakistan just can go ape shit and Afghanistan backs down. Like, Afghanistan can't fight Pakistan, man. This is not one of those things that Pakistan needs somebody. And Pakistan will make sure that Pakistan doesn't call on somebody because it's a save face time. Imagine if Pakistan has to like show the world like we need world even to fight Afghanistan. Do you know how fucked up that is? Do you know what that message sends to India? Like, you can't even fight Afghanistan, really? So Pakistan going to make sure that nobody gets involved, and they are the one who pushes hard. So Afghanistan backs down. They have to do that. It's save face type of thing. This is like a pro fighter lost world championship and they go to a local gym and gets his ass kicked. He's not going to ask for it. Like, he has to show that, like, no, I'm not that bad. Come on. Alright, well, if you like my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.